a written production of the Recreation Centers of Sun City Incorporated and is intended for the sole purpose of informing our Recreation Center members. Any duplication, copying, transmission, broadcast, or use, including electronic and social media, is strictly prohibited without the prior written consent from the Recreation Centers of Sun City Incorporated. Thank you for watching.
Good morning, everyone. It's at the top of the hour. If you would please rise if you're able, and we'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag, the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. All right, welcome to the exchange. I'm Tom Foster, and I am the president of the 2025 Board of Directors. This meeting is audio and video recorded and also live streamed. Please be advised there is to be, well, I guess we don't need that one here, sorry. Please take out your cell phones and electronic devices and check them to ensure you're in silent mode. As a reminder, verbal and physical aggression toward any member, guest, or RCSC employee is not acceptable. Offenders may be asked to leave the meeting. Let me introduce your board of directors and our timekeeper today and our management personnel. Director Steve Collins.
Hello, everyone.
Director Rick Gray. Director John Brissett. Secretary Preston Keiss.
Good morning.
Vice President Chris Nedesine.
Good morning, everybody.
Treasurer Borski is ill today and will not be with us. Director Jana Mapes.
Good morning.
And Director Jim Ruff.
Good morning, all.
Our timekeeper will be Secretary Keiss. On the management side, okay. Director of Finance is Kevin McCurdy, and coming through the door just in the nick of time is General Manager Rebecca Hill. Director of Facilities is Mike Whiprud, and Director of Operations is Mike Diermeyer.
Morning.
And of course, our board coordinator is Marcia Johnson.
Hey, you didn't forget her.
I'm working on it.
Winning.
I also want to recognize Alan Kleinhans, Carla Young, and Miguel Jackson, who are our audio and visual engineers. And hope you picked up a document from the back, the spreadsheet that shows the list of topics that we'll get to here in a few minutes. Let me first make a few announcements, and then we'll have Vice President Nedesine give you an update on Mountain View. So first of all, board candidates, Vice President Nedesine is running, and Director Jana Mapes. So just so you know that those two will be on the ballot. Along with the election, the voting software has been successfully tested, so I think we're pretty much ready to go there. The candidate forum will be Monday, November 17th. There's a social time beginning at 5:30 that afternoon, and then the Q&A session starts around 6. Proposed bylaws. We'll be working on the second reading of those proposed bylaws this afternoon right here at 1 p.m. The 2026 budget, the second reading of that budget will be at the regularly scheduled board meeting in November, which is the 20th. Board policies, numerous proposed policies were put out on the system last week, and there are a couple of more that will go out, I believe, this afternoon. And the town hall is still scheduled for November 14th, right here at Sundial at 10 a.m. to get questions and comments from the membership on those proposed changes. Finance 101, we're really close on that. We just got to get those dates squared away so that we can get that thing up and running. On the golf side, Lakes West and Riverview, I believe, reopened this Friday, the 14th. And congratulations to Eddie Renio, who ran his expo over at Riverview on Thursday of last week. Terrific weather. I'm sure he was responsible for that as well. But a great turnout and a lot of vendors, a lot of equipment and things for folks to see and do and participate in, and also some great food. So it was a really successful event. Fall Festival, Thanksgiving weekend, not too far away, Friday the 28th and Saturday the 29th of November. Let's see, then you need to, if you wanted to speak on something today, you pull a number from the back, and Secretary Keiss will be calling those numbers when we get to that point. And I think that, and then we will periodically check with Mr. Diermeyer for any comments that might be on the live stream. Okay. Concluding that, Vice President Nettesheim would like to make a few comments on where we are with Mountain View.
Good morning, everybody. I'm going to try and get through this without coughing. I have a cough drop. This is the start of the Mountain View updates now that we are in design phase. So welcome. Thank you for coming. It's always appreciated when you come to our exchanges. I really appreciate it. Okay, so our progress to date that's completed. We finished the visioning phase, we finished the programming phase, and we have executed and signed a full design contract. What that means is we've signed how much it's going to cost us to do the design contract, the design phase, and what some of those mini phases will be inside of it. We have not made any design decisions. So what's in progress for RCSC, the Board of Directors? Right now, we are doing the least amount of work. Triarch is doing most of the work because they're the heavy lifters in design. It won't be until further on, probably a good 3, 4, maybe even 5 months before the board has to actively engage and maybe make some decisions. So we're meeting with Triarch as design data is delivered. They just share things intermittently with us, which I will be sharing in this meeting. We review and signing design contracts as they come up, and we're providing Triarch with any additional data they may ask for. They haven't asked for any yet, but we told them we're here to provide them with any data. One of the things we did discuss was creating a calendar that would have all potential activities that could be happening at Mountain View over the course of a year. So it will help us make our decisions about what would happen in our performance space, maybe in our fitness space, depending on what would need to happen there. So, in progress for Triarch. They're generating and executing design contracts with design consultants. So, they're the head contractor. They've got subcontractors underneath them, and they're signing and executing contracts with them. People who are specialists in, say, fitness, specialists in pools, specialists in underground piping, and specialists in IT. Specialists in pickleball even, right? What's the best surface for the pickleball courts? They are consulting with a lot of different contractors to help us make the right decisions for Mountain View. So we need to make the right fiscal and fiduciary decisions, as well as the right fund decisions, because there's a lot of fun that is going to be had at Mountain View going forward, and we want to make sure those amenities are as fun as possible. They're doing a topographic survey, and they're doing a field survey, or they're scheduling one, of existing buildings that may remain. We're not saying that all buildings will remain. We're not saying that all buildings won't remain. It's too early in the design process. But they're doing a field survey to look at the buildings that may remain in the final design. And the big one, I think, for a lot of people, they're reviewing the permutations, in other words, the options for option 3, as it relates to budget and design considerations. So one of the big things I know for the members is the sloped or flat floor seating for the performance space, but there are other permutations of option 3 scope items that they'll be looking at. As I said, the fitness center, the pool, how best to design the pickleball courts with regard to noise abatement, because we definitely have that on our list of things we need to watch for, is to make sure that we don't create a major noise problem as we build out Mountain View. So a lot of other different permutations for option 3 that they're going to work through. So how are we communicating? We'll be communicating the Triarch design progress on the website, our Facebook page, in email blasts and exchange meetings like this. So this presentation will end up being sent in an email blast. It'll go on our Facebook page. Maybe we might be able to get it on the website page. We'll have to see. We don't want to destabilize it, so we'll just have to see how it goes. And I say that tongue-in-cheek because we are working hard to answer all of your questions and concerns about the portal and how the portal is interacting with our new website. So member engagement. We, the board, are committed to keeping the Mountain View project moving forward, and you know this, it's the same thing I've been saying for almost 7 months now. We'd like to thank you guys for your active engagement in the visioning and programming phase and your continued engagement as we move forward. Your involvement is allowing the project to keep moving forward and continues to influence the current and future design of Mountain View. There are a lot of design work considerations that you will have the opportunity to weigh in as we move through the process. Your contributions are really making a difference. We encourage you to communicate with the board of directors and share your thoughts and concerns. So continue to communicate, questions, concerns, ideas. We ask that you reach out directly to us through board of directors at suncityaz.org rather than reaching out to Triarch, primarily because Triarch is very, very busy right now trying to meet the contractual deadlines that they have established for us to keep moving forward. Like and follow us on our Facebook page and YouTube channel so that you have all new information. I know some of you come for a few months, then go home for the holidays, and then come back. I know some of us are here all year round. I know that some of us are here from November through April, but stay in touch electronically as much as you can to keep current on what's happening with Mountain View. And then, as I said, let us know your thoughts as the new information is communicated to the membership. So if we send something out that you have questions about, ask. We send something out that you think, I don't know, I live around here, I don't think that will work, let us know. You have an idea for something that you see, hey, they're proposing this, but if we went this one step, it would be that much better. Please let us know. What comes next? The RCSC board will continue to communicate in these meetings and through our electronic means as the different permutations of option 3 are decided upon and shared by Triarch. We'll do these monthly progress updates for you. And then there will be member engagement opportunities to present design preferences to Triarch as we move forward during the design phase. It's not going to be in the next month or two. I want to tell you, it's going to be in the new year, but you will have the opportunity. We will advertise it. We will encourage you. We will run virtual as well as in-person meetings as appropriate. And then at the very end of this, TRIARC's going to do what they've been doing. They're going to do a presentation. We'll end up following the same process we did for visioning and for programming. So thank you. We continue to look forward to your input. And as I have said in the past, I'm waiting for those shovel day when we can all just show up and dig a hole in Mountain View and say, we've started, it's official, we're in construction. Thank you, guys.
All right. Thank you, Chris. Let's turn to the exchange topic sheet and run through the items that were there. So the first one there was a request about a paddleboard races, and there was some misunderstanding about that between staff and the individuals who were trying to organize this. That has been addressed, and I believe they're going to go splash around out there on November 22nd. I hope it's a nice warm day. Sundial used for performing arts. Well, as Vice President Nettesheim just walked through, there will be a time for you to make that case to TRIARC and their subcontractors. So I know you're passionate about it, but just hang on to those thoughts and the analysis that you've been trying to work on and get that to TRIARC when they're ready to receive that. Stage closures of any amenities as we move through the Mountain View project. I think as we have talked about before, staging tends to introduce some safety concerns, and it also introduces some delay and additional costs. So at the moment, as we go through this process, the thought is there would not be staging. We would try to get this going and completed in a timely way and on budget as quickly as we can. How long would that closure be? Again, done without phasing, we're looking at 12 to 14 months in the materials that we have seen thus far. Any thought to accommodate players and pickleball during the closures here? Management is spending some time, I guess, with the Players Club, but at this time there is no intention or plans to try to do anything to accommodate pickleball or tennis or other amenities there during the closure. It's just there's only so much time and budget to go around, and we'll just have to work through that as quickly as we can. The concept of this 50-50 raffle that was mentioned last time, that has been embraced by the foundation, and Treasurer Borski, who is also the president of the foundation, unfortunately not with us here, but they have taken that one on and see what they could do to perhaps utilize that methodology as a way to assist them in raising funds for the foundation. There was another suggestion about a drawing that would offer a deeded owner the possibility of their assessment being paid in a year. Again, and being embraced by the Sun City Foundation. We'll see how that rolls out. A request about a electronic means to have a place where you get your questions answered in an immediate way. We need to flesh that out a little bit, but I envision some budget issues that might be involved with that. But at least at the moment, we need to spend some time trying to fully understand exactly what might be included with that. Silver Sneakers program, we did look into that. It does look like we would have to make perhaps some accommodation to others using our facilities if we attempted to use their facilities. At least at the moment, we have thought that that might not be appropriate at this time. An app on the new website, so you don't have to log in. Actually, logging in is one of the primary security devices of that website. And I know it's a bother, but that's how we protect the rest of the world from having access to our data and information. So I think logging in will be, at least for the time being, a requirement. Mountain View tennis courts, concern about cracks there. Well, that's been looked at by facilities. That doesn't appear anyway that there's an immediate safety issue there. But as we just went through with Vice President Nettesheim, we're on our way to redoing or renovating that area. So I really don't see an appropriate expenditure of funds on something that's probably going to be torn up again in the next few months. So sorry if that's an inconvenience at the moment, but in the long run, it's going to be a much better and enjoyable facility. So let's just get from here to there. Pickleball players, guest issues. I guess I've been told 7% of the guests of the users have been identified as guests. I guess I do not know how many pickleball players we have in the membership, but do we have any idea of that number?
Not individual.
Okay.
Not off the top of my head.
But it's so fertile. You have so many numbers at the top of your head.
Yeah, but I do know the number. It's in a spreadsheet. I just don't have it off the top of my head. I'm sorry.
That's fine. Sorry, I shouldn't have put you on the spot. Priorities about projects. Well, and that's a good question. So generally speaking, as these things roll up, safety concerns and regulatory concerns get priority. So that if we run into something that, oh my goodness, there is a real concern about the safety of our members, that's probably going to get some attention ahead of others, even if the others have been on the list for a while. And then if we find that for some reason we are in non-compliance with a regulation or a statute, we are certainly going to try to address that because we can't afford to inadvertently be in non-compliance. After that, I think it becomes an exercise in what's best for the majority of Sun City residents at that particular time. And all of this would be rolling out of the reserve study. But even if, the reserve study rolls out, say, 25 projects, of those projects, you're going to look for safety concerns or regulatory concerns first, and then go on from there. So that is how that, in general, is addressed. Shuffleboard in need of some maintenance. So there you go. Here's a situation where we need to make sure that that is rolling through the reserve study so that it gets addressed and at the appropriate time. I am not sure if that has rolled up in the reserve study at this point in time, but certainly something we'll make sure is there. And if it's required that some attention needs to be put that way, it will get its opportunity at that point in time. Director Ruff.
Just explain to them what the reserve study is. The number of members, I'm sure, don't know what you're talking about.
Okay. So what the reserve study is we have literally a list of our assets and when they were installed and when we expect them to have exhausted their useful life. And as years go by, these things roll up as, okay, this is something that should have met its useful life. And it might be it's a truck, maybe it's, a shuffleboard court, maybe it's tennis, maybe it's pickleball. It could be many, 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 many different things, because every asset that we have, we've tried to put into this study so that as the year rolls by, what comes up next year are the things that were identified as having reached the end of their useful life in that particular year. That doesn't mean it's necessarily going to get replaced, as oftentimes, a truck maybe comes up and you go, it's in pretty good shape. I'll bet we could get another 2 years out of that vehicle. And so it maybe doesn't get addressed that particular year, but it rolls up so that it's front of mind, so you're not forgetting that these things need to be addressed as you go through time. So this is a pretty comprehensive study. We have an employee who is responsible for keeping that up to date, and it is a full-time job. But it does give us this ability to be checking on all of our assets so that we know when things are reaching the end of their useful life and approximately how much it would cost to try to replace those things if it is required to do that. And then that rolls into the capital expenditures for any particular year, depending on the budget availability. Okay. Go ahead, Director Ruff.
On the website, on the top right, there's a sign in, and right next to that is Get in Touch, and that pulls up contact us that sends an email to the board. So it's built into the system. I just went to it on my phone.
Mike Dermeyer's
Mr. Dearmeyer.
That contact us goes into the website. It does not go into the form, so it goes into the back end of the website where I have to pull it out. So any feedback from the members, we would like them to email feedback@suncityaz.org, or if they're looking to get to the board of directors directly, email boardofdirectors@suncityaz.org.
Can we change the website?
It will get changed, but for now, it's the get in touch on the website goes into the back end of the website
Gotcha.
that I'm managing.
So it's functional.
It's functional.
All right, thank you. Was there a comment down here? That was it? Okay. All right. In that case, I think we are ready to open the floor for your comments, and we are around number 46 or so. Secretary Keiss, will you call the first individual?
Okay, let's start with, is there a number before 43? Am I hearing 42, 42, 40? Okay, 43, sir, why don't you go ahead?
Jim Kepler, 127409. And good morning, and thank you for moving the Mountain View project along. As we know, we have had an outstanding fall weather. You can't ask for better. My wife and I live within walking distance of the Mountain View facility, about a quarter mile to be exact. And I can guarantee you we use that gym 4 to 6 days every week. I can also assure you, and I'm not making this up, because I looked to see how many people are playing pickleball down there, and one day this last week was anybody playing. Now, I know we have tens of thousands of pickleball players, and it's the most popular sport in the world, but nobody's using those courts in the morning. I don't get it. So I'm hoping the board would find out why aren't people using this? If we need more pickleball courts, why aren't the ones we have getting used. It just doesn't make sense to me. So I can assure you I'm not making it up. I encourage a couple board members to at least find out what the usage is of these things, because we don't see people down there. And we also go back in the afternoon often to the pool, and we use the mini golf course. I still don't see people down there. So I hope you will look into that. Let's see here. Moving on. Up to Sundial. My wife and I belong to the mini golf club, and we use the different courses all the time. And what I'm worried about is we were up there last evening or evening ago, and a member of Sun City drove up in a golf cart, followed by several carloads of looked like guests. The member showed him around and then drove off in the golf cart. It was about 6 to 8 adults and at least 5 to 6 small kids. The kids were running up and down the courses. They were running up both the hill on number 5 and that ramp on number 6. They were playing King of the Hill on what we call the volcano on number 8. They don't use the sidewalks. And maybe a solution would be, I would hope you post something out there that would have basic rules for people to pay attention to. And in long term, it really needs a video surveillance facility that somebody in the office could keep an eye on what's going on down there so they could come down and, because I yelled at the kid and he said, well, I do this all the time. Well, we want these courts and turfs to last, and they don't last if people abuse them. So thank you. Hope something gets done. And I have a refrigerator coming, so I need to get home. Thanks.
Thank you.
I need to be better at my time. Number 44, please. 45. 46. Yes.
Good morning. Dennis Christ, 124779. I'd like to express my concerns today to the board and to the membership. Just one thing on Mountain View. I would appreciate if you could at least consider the data on the use of the performing arts deal, and also encourage management to come up with a plan that how you're going to manage this, because if you build it and it doesn't get used, we still as members have to pay for the maintenance and management of it. And I haven't seen anything come from Triarch on that. They gave us data on the usage rates of the pickleball and tennis and also lawn bowling, but they never gave us any data on how much the intended use or what the intended use would be, nor have they given us data on what the past performance in usage of that facility is. So if you do put in a sloped floor in it, it's obviously going to not be used for flat line dancing. It wouldn't be used for anything other than just performances. So give that some consideration. Also, as far as the justification for the fitness center at Mountain View, do we really need to spend whatever it's going to be when we have a half a mile away, roughly, a beautiful fitness center at Fairway? To me, it doesn't make sense that we have two facilities a half a mile apart doing the same thing. Similarly, my guess is what's going to happen is that if you build a fitness center there, you'll just be taking people from that already go to Fairway, they'll go to Mountain View. Is that my phone? Sorry if it was. Also, I would like to clarify at the last board meeting, there was discussion of a long-range planning committee motion that we made to the board. I'm on the long-range planning committee, by the way. And we wanted to clarify and recommend to the board that they consider the ADWR mandate for courses that are they're post-1985, because the Land Water Management Act was created in 1980, and the ADWR came up with a mandate for all post-1985 courses that they had to have 90 acres, and the maximum water would be a goal of 4 acre-feet per acre, which basically means 4 feet of water on all irrigated land. And so we are proposing in the 10-year PIF plan to use considerably more water than that. And I also want to make you aware that, and we've talked about this in the Long Range Planning Committee, and we hopefully present it to the board, that in 7 years, or 7 to 8 years, there's going to be deed restrictions that will either have to be revoked or extended, which basically state that all golf courses, properties that are bordering the golf courses must remain a golf course. And if that is going to be in conflict potentially with the ADWR, because we cannot continue on the south course, for example, to irrigate 200 acres of turf. And we know that. I know that the 10-year PIF plan is basically reducing those acreages, but it's not anywhere close to the 90-acre minimum. And so those things are long range in nature, and so we think that the LRP should be able to continue having those kinds of concerns. Thank you.
Thank you, Dennis.
Want me to respond?
If you wish, Director Kais.
Yeah, a couple things. As we've discussed, Dennis, that 90 acres is for post-1985 courses. We don't have any of those. We have a restriction from ADWR of a certain number of acre feet that we're allowed to use every year, and that's what we're getting under. So trying to get us under some constraint that was for courses that were built 22 years after or 20 years after ours, it doesn't make any sense. Our contract or our deal with ADWR is to get under a certain number of acre feet per year for all of our courses and all of our facilities, and that's what we're doing to. So the 90 acre feet isn't relevant to our golf courses. And the deed restrictions are so complicated. I've talked with Eddie Renio about this. And Eddie's been doing business here for years and years. The only courses he knows of that have gotten rid of their deed restrictions is when the organizations went bankrupt. That's the only time it's ever happened. It's not possible for us to go bankrupt. It's just not as an organization. To try to get through the hoops of, well, for example, I live on Union Hills Golf Course, and the owners there would like to put some housing in and do some things that are non-golf related on that. Their lawyers told them that in order for that to happen, every single person that lives on the golf course would have to sign off on that happening. So if we wanted to get rid of deed restrictions, every single owner on a golf course would have to sign off to say that, okay, it's okay to change this. I don't see people doing that because the change in their property values is going to be great. And even if you go into that, this has never been proven. So anytime you do something like this, there's going to be a lawsuit, there's going to be a court case, and you just don't know what's going to happen with that. So to say that we can not sign the deed restrictions in 2033 and we can do what we want with the golf courses it doesn't match up with the facts of this is a much more difficult process than just signing or not signing the deed restrictions.
Just hang on, Dennis. I would say we can bring LRP up to speed. This is not probably the best forum to talk about the complications of deed restrictions, but we certainly have pursued that through legal counsel. Generally speaking, what Secretary Kais has stated is, unfortunately, it's the way it is. Even our restrictions appear to require 100%, and it's. I'll let the lawyers argue about this, I guess, but it does appear that 100% of anyone who owns property that abuts one of our golf courses would have to agree to a non-golf related change. All it takes is one to say no, and we likely will get that. The conclusion, basically, of some of this legal work has been, yes, it says it can be amended. Yes, it says there are opportunities to try to make changes, but in almost 100% of the cases, we'll see you in court. The homeowners are protected by the courts, and it's very difficult for us to make too many maneuvers that don't strictly comply with those deed restrictions. So that's something that I think that we can walk through in LRP, which would be more appropriate, because those are the folks who would have a more knowledgeable, that you guys have been involved in this situation for a number of months, and I think it would be more helpful to explain it there first and then come back at a later point with some perhaps decisions about that situation. He's going to ding me here that I've gone more than 3 minutes. All right, sorry.
Number 46, please. Thank you, 47.
Good morning. Terry Carlson, member number 148790. Thank you for your time and your commitment to our community. In order to have a better understanding of the process, I feel there needs to be more transparency regarding the $1 million in receivables related to assessments in the PIF. How many of these properties are currently for sale? How many are in collections? How many are in foreclosure? Once a property is eligible for assistance, that was tough. How long are they eligible to receive aid? Is this a one-time financial assistance, or can they qualify for multiple years? Are there housing alternatives to break the cycle? Does the $1 million incorporate the collection fees we need to be responsible for? While we certainly have empathy for those who are unable to afford the assessment and are fully on board with offering one-time assistance as a solution, continuing to offer the same household assistance creates a double-edged sword for our community as we pay out assessment fees and also forfeit PIF funding from the home sales. The requirements for receiving assistance should also be published somewhere where all owners are aware of the criteria. While every situation is unique, the community should have a broad understanding of what the perimeters are. On a personal note, my next door, was not aware until I started coming to these meetings that we even offered any kind of assistance. While my husband and I'm sure would not qualify and we would not be looking for that, our next door neighbors are a perfect example of a family that really could have used this assistance, and they never knew it was there. They sold their house, they moved back to Michigan, but to even have that one-time ability to get some assistance would have aided them in giving them time to determine what the best course of action was for them. Instead, they sold their house at quite a loss. They had help from some community members in how to proceed and how to get things done, but a lot of older people in our community aren't aware that this is even a resource available to them. Although I don't want to just say, let's keep throwing money at things, I feel like the process is a good start, but right now I feel like it's a Band-Aid on a knife wound, and eventually we're going to bleed out. So how do we make sure that we're continuing to do the right things to help as many people as possible and still do things that protect our community as a whole? Thank you all very much for your time.
Thank you. Director Collins.
Thank you. Yes, just a couple things. Ma'am, I'm the vice president of the foundation, and since I've been on this board, every chance I get, whether it be at concerts or these meetings, I make an announcement for people who need help to contact corporate, and we'll see if they qualify for this help. Everything that we give to the residents of our community is donations. Not one dime comes out of anything to do with the RCSC operating funds. So it's not coming out of your pocket or your assessments. A lot of our people, they've outlived their Social Security and their pensions. Their pensions aren't worth hardly anything. It didn't go up. And they just are still alive, and they're here, and they need help. I mean, we help people that, imagine trying to live on $750 a month. I don't think I could do it. And there's people in our community that are doing just that. And the little bit of dignity that we can provide by helping them is a good thing. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Collins.
I can see you were very moved by what you were saying. And I agree with you that.
Ma'am, sorry. I appreciate that.
So to go ahead, I am also a member of the Sun City Foundation, and to add to that, we do advertise. It is on everybody's assessment bill that comes out that if they cannot pay their assessment, they can reach out to the Sun City Foundation for assistance. So that is something new that has started this year, and because of it, more people are reaching out. We have, I would say, Steve, would you agree, we've helped double people this year than last year?
Yeah, we're over 100 this year.
So we are helping, we are doing everything we can. What I would like to encourage people is, because the foundation provides assessment assistance through donations, is to consider the foundation when you consider your annual donating. I would also recommend that when the foundation runs fundraisers and stuff like that, participate heavily in them, because it is neighbors helping neighbors. And it's the easiest way, and it does maintain people's dignity, because we keep it as private as we can so that nobody feels any type of embarrassment or humiliation because they've reached a point in their life where they need additional assistance to meet their financial goals.
And right outside the door there, right outside the door is a Seniors Helping Seniors that I had made. And you can take a card and you can get a gift card. And that's part of our fundraising. So I moved that all around Sun City to different locations. Thank you.
In his truck.
And John helps.
About the foundation?
Board Coordinator Johnson.
On the back table, there is a flyer that talks more about the Santa for Seniors and those tags, and there's also Christmas trees at 3 different locations.
Okay. Director of Finance McCurdy, I know the $1 million seems like a big number, but there is some accounting going on here that distorts that a bit. Could you elaborate a bit on why that number is at its magnitude and why it's permitted under the accounting regulations to continue to accrue that because of the likelihood of recovering funds?
And also somewhat of the process that you go through so people can understand that better.
Sure. So when we send out our annual assessment invoices, we book those as deferred revenue and then recognize that over the 12 months of the assessment period. There's a fair amount of receivables that are built up, and that's also PIF and SIF fee receivables as well. We're not aggressively foreclosing people if they're delinquent on their assessments. We will file a property lien after about 90 days if an assessment invoice is not paid, and then we'll wait, right? Because eventually that invoice will be paid if the home is sold, if and when the home is sold. So we will lien the property and wait for either the homeowner to get into a position where they're able to get current with their assessments, or at some time in the future when the home is sold, that will be paid out of the escrow. So we tend to build up a fairly sizable aging balance over time, but we typically do not write off any of those receivables ever.
And one of the issues raised was, did that balance include collection fees or yes or no?
No, we use 2 outside collection agencies for overdue. If we decide to submit them for collections, that's not automatic. It has to meet certain criteria to be sent out for third-party collection. The arrangements that we have with our collection agencies is that they will not take a percentage of the receivable balance that's owed. What they will do is they will do their collection efforts and charge on top of what the receivable balance that we submit to them. So we're not taking a haircut with what is owed to the RCSC. Their fees are added to whatever balance we turn over to them, and that will add up, but that will be paid to the collection agency, and 100% of the receivable that we submit to them will come back to us.
Thank you. Mr. Deermeyer, is nothing on live stream? Thank you.
And Kevin, correct me if I'm wrong, but if we have the owners living in the house, and it doesn't matter how far back on their assessments, we are not going to foreclose and take their house from them.
That is correct.
Okay.
Thank you. Next.
Number 48, please.
Good morning, Lori Ellingson, 133335. First of all, I would like to ditto on a couple of the things that Dennis Chris mentioned in the beginning. The main thing I want to speak about is the Renew Active program. On here on the topic, it talks about Silver Sneaker. That's not what I'm discussing. I'm discussing Renew Active. I have discussed it, brought it up twice. I'm hoping third time is a charm. I don't believe that the board or management has a full understanding of how that program works. I have emailed the board 2 separate emails that kind of give you a better understanding of how it works. The main thing that would be beneficial to the RCSC and the community as a whole is it is going to help the Sun City Foundation. The members are required by the facility contract fee or agreement to pay the annual fee. I don't think it matters who pays that fee, whether it's the homeowner or the homeowner's medical insurance company. This is what Renew Active is all about. They reimburse members if they join a health club because they understand the importance of staying healthy and staying fit and staying active. When Sun City was first built and you drove through from 99th onto Alabama, the sign said, "Welcome to Sun City, an active retirement community." So the premise of Renew Active, it'll benefit the RCSC by maintaining the revenue of the center, but more importantly, it'll benefit the senior residents in the community by keeping them healthy and fit. By offering this program, it will add immensely to the overall image of RCSC by participating with the Sun City Foundation and the community building side. This program will help the image of RCSC as a private organization that is concerned about helping its members. By participating in this program, RCSC will get noticed more and it'll help them recognize the support of fitness and well-being of the members. And I would appreciate if I could have an appointment and explain the program so you have a better understanding of how it works. Thank you.
Thank you, Lori.
Number 49, please.
Good morning. Ruth Mackay, 159538. forgive me because I missed the first two exchanges and first board meeting of this time period, so I had chosen a number because I wanted to find out more about Mountain View, and Chris filled me in on that, so I really appreciate it. The only thing that, question that came up when Chris was giving her presentation was she was talking about a calendar that the board's going to get concerning Mountain View, and I was wondering if it would be possible for the members to have a calendar to show them approximately what's happening and when it's going to happen. And that would be nice. And also, since I missed the first couple of meetings, how does a person, or how do the topics get chosen to get on the exchange topic spreadsheet, just out of curiosity? Thank you.
Well, you are now on this spreadsheet because you raised an issue, and so that will be on that spreadsheet for the next exchange meeting if it's not successfully addressed right now. And I believe Vice President Nettesheim is holding carefully. She just is just bursting out of her chest to respond to you. So go ahead.
Ruth, I have a question. You're asking for a calendar of the Mountain View events, right? What's actually, so when are Triarch doing this? When is RCSC doing this? When are we going to have this available? Is that what you're asking for?
Just a general outline of approximately when.
Ruth, if you could wait, just let her answer if you could, please, Ruth.
I was going to answer her question.
No, that was my question.
Oh, I'm sorry. I apologize.
Just a general outline of approximately, I know you can't give specific dates, obviously, because you're working with Triarch, but just to say, you know, you can expect this to be happening in the spring of such and such, or the fall. Just a general.
All right, that's what I thought you meant, but I wanted to make sure I understood.
Sorry.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
Number 50, please.
Good morning. Linda Thompson, 11537. I live on Viewpoint Lake. And last Thursday, we had our biannual meeting, election of officers. And at that meeting, none of the officers mentioned this paddleboard race. And I was just wondering, have any of our officers been notified that this is happening? Anybody?
Why would we have to notify them?
Because so the homeowners won't think there's a bunch of crazy people out there on the paddle boards, you know. And I have another question. Are these people on the paddle boards, is this an RCSC event?
They're members.
And everyone that's participating belongs to the Sun City RCSC?
They're all members of our community, and the lake is open to all our members.
I understand that. I'm not trying to be controversial here. I'm just asking some questions because we like to tell our homeowners when things are happening on the lake so they're aware of it.
This came up. This came up 2 months ago in a meeting.
Let's
That's
let her
when
ask
he
her
first
questions,
brought
and then
it.
we can answer them, Steve.
Well, so it's going to happen on the 22nd. Does anyone know what time?
We can get that for you. Ma'am, if you can ask your questions, we will do our best to answer them. If you could just ask your questions, and then we'll go ahead and answer them, please.
Okay.
That's what we do with everything.
I'd like to know the time, the duration, so that Mary Ann can notify the homeowners this is going to happen, so they're not surprised what's going on out there.
Okay.
It's just an informational thing. We have a website, and we'll, you know, send a notification out to everybody that lives on the lake. You know, we'd kind of like to know what route they're going to use out there, so people are aware of what's going on.
Fair enough.
That's it.
Okay.
Okay.
No, those are fair questions. We'll see if we
Okay.
can't respond to those.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Does Mike have the time?
Number 50, oh, I'm sorry.
Do you want me to answer?
Yes.
If you have answers, that would be helpful.
I believe the event is in the early afternoon. It is RCSC members, and I believe they worked with the Next Gen Club. The space that they're using are more of the mini golf area and the gazebos. It's more confined to closer to the park. They're not going through the entire lake. They're just doing something small around the park area.
But there are going to be announcements going out about this, so the members are informed.
We were not planning on it, so we'll have to have a discussion internally on how we communicate it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Do you want, Lori has additional information?
Sorry, it's 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. They're racing around the fountain.
Okay. Okay.
Number 51, please.
Brenda Frank, 149988, and I just want to thank the board for all the time and energy and effort you're putting into this, because I know it's pretty much a full-time job for you guys, and you're not getting paid. I just want to comment on Sundial being used as a performance arts center. This keeps coming up and up and up, and there are people who are very adamant it should be Sundial. I was in theater in high school. I was active in community theater in my hometown. I'm not active currently doing anything like that, but as somebody who's done it, this is not an appropriate facility for any kind of community theater. And the people or persons who keep pushing it, I would ask that they speak to somebody who is active in community theater, and they'll explain to them in great detail why this facility won't work. That's as far as I'll go with that. But long-range planning committee, as a golfer, we know that a lot of the courses have a lot of area that can be converted to desert, reduce our water usage, especially at South. So please, long-range planning committee, put that in your long-range plan to reduce water down the road, 5 years. That's your charter, or however far down. But we know that it needs to be changed over. We just need the budget. Thank you.
Thank you.
Number 52, please. I'm sorry, is there anybody else that wants to speak before somebody comes up a second time? You're on.
Go
Thank
ahead,
you.
Dennis.
Dennis Chris, 124779. First comment I'd like to ask a comment on and ask a question is whether or not the board would consider or if the membership could consider changing the way the PIF funds are received, because in response to one of our members that just spoke about the fact that their neighbor had a difficult time and they had to sell their property because they couldn't afford to live here anymore. But unfortunately, that person, regardless of the value of their house, they paid the same fee as someone who has a $500,000 or $600,000 house. That's not fair. I remember back 15 years ago when we came here, that houses were selling for $40,000, and they paid the same PIF fee as a house that, at that time were more in the $200,000 or $300,000 range. So basically, that's a percentage of their value of a $40,000 house versus a $200,000 house is actually 5 times higher. I don't think that's fair. I think that the board should consider, or the membership should consider, a different way of funding PIF. The second thing I'd like to talk about is on your board, the bylaw changes that you're making. There's one term in there that really concerns me, is that the biggest issue is what is a proper membership subject. On the bylaws that you have proposed, you have basically said that pretty much every business activity that is conducted, which RCSC is a business affair, And then you basically, so if any membership doesn't like the business decision that you have made, there's basically, your lawyer will determine that is not a proper business membership subject and will not be allowed to be voted on. That to me is a dereliction of the fiduciary responsibility that you have, and especially of a nonprofit organization, which basically says the nonprofit laws state that you have to basically define the membership's rights. And from what I can tell in your proposal, the membership has virtually no rights when it comes to the business affairs of this corporation. Thank you.
Do you wish to respond?
Yeah, Dennis. Regarding the proper member subject, we specifically went out to and engaged a bylaws and Arizona Nonprofit Corporation Act attorney to specifically make sure that what is defined in the proposal for the bylaws fits the ANCA. That is the law of Arizona, and we have to follow it. And that's why it's designed that way and it's stated that way, because that's what the laws say we have to do. And so the business affairs of the corporation are the purview of the board of directors. That's why they're elected. That's why they're there. That's the law. We have to follow the law. Well,
is there anyone else who wants to speak?
Before you come up a third time, is there someone else that would like to come up?
This gentleman would like, or did you want to come up, sir?
I'll be very Milton Lepsack, 130662. I am a snowbird and just arrived recently. Been here for 6 months for the past 10 or 12 years. I just wanted to make one comment. The first gentleman who was speaking about Mountain View pickleball usage, that's one of many activities that I'm involved in. And during the winter months, while we're here, I play at Mountain View 2 or 3 times a week. And just for informational purposes, every time I've been there, there is a list, including membership numbers, of people who are participating. Between 7 o'clock in the morning and approximately 11 in the morning, there are 2 or 3 pages full of lists of people using the courts. They're basically unused in the afternoon, primarily because they're doing something else or because of the heat. But they are heavily used in the mornings, virtually every day of the week. I just wanted to make that clear. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Yeah.
Lori Ellingson, 133335. Definitely agree. Pickleball has over 1,200 members. The courts are used to full capacity during playable hours. If somebody drives by and they don't see anyone on the courts, possibly it is because it is over 90 degrees and people play early morning, or they play later in the evening, or if it's over 100 degrees, they'll go up to Marinette to play in the covered, in the pavilion. I do know a lot of people over the summer actually pay for memberships at Pickleball Space and at the Pickler and at Chicken and Pickle. Those are 3 businesses that offer indoor climate-controlled courts. So if you drive by and you say there's nobody on those courts, think about the weather conditions and think about the safety of the players. The other thing, going back to the issue of the tennis courts, it's not a matter of the cracks at Mountain View. It was a matter of not necessary to put a layer of paint over the cracks. So the courts at Lakeview, definitely there's a safety issue at the Lakeview courts. There was no safety issue at the Mountain View courts, and there was no need to spend any money on whatever they did. So here, the action, it says no immediate safety issue. We realized there was no immediate safety issue. What we, as the tennis club, want to bring up is there was no fix to those courts. It was more about having water on the courts, shade on the courts, and making sure that the courts were clean and that the nets were in good working order. So I think there was some confusion on the concern about that. Thank you.
Thank you, Lori.
Lori, correct me if I'm wrong, but you came to an exchange, you showed us pictures of the courts there and told us they were unsafe. That was what you told us, and that was part of the reason why we actually did something.
Yeah, those pictures were from the condition of the courts. Those were from Lakeview courts.
Okay, no, Lori, you actually showed us pictures of Mountain View also. But
Right,
thank
and
you.
the reason why...
Lori, we're not going to have a debate about it. I'm just saying that you showed us pictures of it. That's kind of why we did it. Partially is because that was what was brought up.
Okay. Good. Dennis, did you want to step up again?
Thank you. As far as what do we call the proper membership subjects, that to me seems like it's a big unknown as to, so the memberships really aren't going to be able to determine whether something is a proper member subject before they go through the process of collecting 10% signatures on a petition. Because that's a big deal, because that's what, 4,000 people or so. So the question would be, if you could become more clear as to what a proper member subject is. And I'm going to give you some examples to see. Let's see, for example, if the board of directors decides to spend money, like they did on Quail Run, $6 million they spent on that, and the people membership think that that's not a good idea, is that a proper member subject for them to go through the petition process on? Similarly, if they decide to do some other project, like could be golf, it could be any other project where you spend a lot of money, and the membership thinks that's not in the fiduciary, you haven't upheld your fiduciary responsibility, and they want to take up a petition, would anything like that be considered a proper member subject?
Okay, do you want to address that, Secretary Kais? I know that's in your wheelhouse.
Yeah, and Article 4 of the proposed bylaws at the bottom of the page, starting on line 425, it has a whole list of what proper member subjects are. And basically what it boils down to is...
He has a fundamental confusion about what happens in the annual membership meeting versus a petition to try and change the bylaws, and those are two different things.
That's true.
So maybe we should clarify that and then go ahead and...
Okay, so any member can propose a change to the bylaws. You don't necessarily have to have go through the petition process. What we've done with revision to the bylaws is set up a process where you as a member can say, okay, this is a bylaw change I would like to make. And we'll go through, you can go through, you put it on, we'll put it online, we'll get member input, we'll get determinations from lawyers, and then if it goes through that process and you want to put it in, then that proposed amendment will go to the annual membership meeting. If the lawyers determine that it's not a proper member subject, then it still goes to the board as a recommendation. But if it is, then a member will be able to put that forth for votes for the annual membership meeting. So you don't have to go through the petition process to propose an amendment to change the bylaws. Does that answer that, you think?
Well, so in the course of the annual membership meeting, and this afternoon you'll see some of this come forward, but members will have an opportunity to propose amendments to the bylaws as an ordinary course. And yes, there is a complicated process that it has to go through because that's the way the laws in the state of Arizona say it has to be. So I understand the confusion and the concern, but it's the law of the land, and we have to do that. However, you as members may also say, okay, we heard what happened at the annual meeting, and we want a special meeting of the members. Now you need to go out and collect the signatures in order to get that meeting called. And so that's a more difficult process, but it is certainly a way that you can try to do the same thing. But at the end of the day, the law of the land is still, there are business affairs of the corporation that are that are reserved to the board of directors, and then other issues that are proper issues that the membership can bring up. And I know it's confusing, quite honestly, and it is frustrating perhaps from both sides of the table here, how this is going to run, and this year we'll be fleshing this out, but it is still, there are opportunities for the members to do things. Don't feel like you've been somehow shut out or an end run has been taken here. All the board has done is comply with the law. And I would say in the past, we were not fully in compliance with the law. And that's the big effort that we've taken for the last 6 months here, is understand that statute and make sure that our bylaws were in compliance. And that's where we are. Director Gray.
Thank you, Tom. Yeah, I think that's one of the keys is that we did with these bylaws is clarify for our members what the statutes, what is actually defined as the business of the corporation. And so according to the statutes, that is restricted to the board, who has the fiduciary responsibility, because members can make changes. They carry no burden or weight on that. So if members were to make changes and it basically hurt our corporation, there would be no legal access to change that or go after them for that. As a board, we have full legal responsibility because of that fiduciary responsibility. So the articles in our bylaws clarify a little more, I think, much better actually, what the business of the corporation is and what is the requirement of the board versus the requirement of the members. So it does clarify in there, and you can go into it and it'll read the specifications of what the membership is able to, according to statutes, according to the laws of the state of Arizona, to be able to have input on and to make changes in. And those are things that affect the members. But still, because of the statutes, there are legal requirements on the board to take care of the business affairs of the corporation that the board alone has responsibility for.
Vice President Edesine.
So what I'd like to say is it's new. Anything that is new takes time to adjust to. This is our first time going through the process for the next annual member meeting. We clearly don't have all the time, the full timeline that we originally intended, which will kick in for 2027. There will be adjustments made to allow members the opportunity to still have input for the 2026 board. But something to think about is the changes that made expanded people's ability to vote. They are now able to vote online. They're able to vote like they do for the director elections. So it actually expands people's opportunity to vote. It doesn't diminish it, it expands it. It opens the door for a different type of communication. Instead of standing here in front of 1,000 people and nothing really getting accomplished because you only get through one amendment, now people are going to have the opportunity to have public discourse between the members about what is actually being proposed and what a proposer really means by their amendment. There's going to be the ability for members to have public discourse. That can be through town halls, it can be online, it can be in a variety of different ways as we refine this process specifically for 2027. But this was never meant to shut the members down. It was to give them more ability to communicate with each other, with the board, with management, and more people the ability to vote. Not everybody could make it to the member meeting. Granted, we could say if it was important enough, they would be here. But this gives them the opportunity to vote beforehand and to have time to really think about what's being proposed. It also gives the proposer of the amendment the opportunity to think about what the legal opinion is, make any edits that are required for it to be a proper member amendment, a proper member subject, or to decide to automatically refer it to the board saying, okay, I get it. Board, will you consider this recommendation for me? That's the purpose of what we're trying to accomplish here with some of the changes we've made, is to expand conversation, expand ability to vote, and stay in compliance with the statutes. That was the purpose of what we were working to accomplish. I would like to ask that people see what happens with the 2026 annual member meeting. See how they like it. Right now, everybody is convinced they don't like it because it's brand new. I would encourage people to try to see if they like it. Keep an open mind, go through the process, provide feedback about what's not working, what is working, and then make your decision after the 2026 member meeting. Thank you.
Yeah, and to me, a lot of what concerns a proper member subject, if you want to, the way I think of it in my mind, you have the ability to talk about and decide on how we do things, how we vote, what defines a member, what defines an owner, all of those things about how we do things, that is in the purview of the members. So, processes, all of these things, that is what the members do. But when you talk about spending money, when you talk about things that have financial implications, all of that is still reserved to the board. But the members are allowed, and it is well within your rights to talk about what is the best way for us, how we do things. And to me, that's the way it breaks down in my mind anyhow.
Director Gray.
Thank you. I do want to add too, having been in the legislature, there's a lot of information we get when we're digging to find out what a bill will do. And some people have opinions without the facts because they haven't dug into it. That's one of the things too, when we make financial decisions, there's a whole lot of other issues, sometimes including lawsuits, that the average member doesn't understand. And so when you're looking at that complexity, for people to be able to make good business decisions of the corporation, they need all the information to be able to make that. And that's why I think it's important, and why our law basically says that the directors have that financial responsibility, that fiduciary responsibility. Because again, I've seen so many people that are saying things, but there's so many things that they don't understand that we are aware of on financial things, costs, so forth. So again, when we elect board members, just like we do every other representative office, it's like, you're put in this position, you need to get all the facts, you need to make those decisions based on the best information, the best facts you can get. And so sometimes when there's just a sense of like, I don't agree with you, sometimes it's because they don't have all the facts. And so again, it's one of the things that makes the difference between being on the board and being a member. But I think, again, as our Vice President said, I think our community will begin to see that this new process is going to open up a lot more opportunities for members to be not only involved, but informed as well as involved.
Okay, one more, Dennis.
One more.
Thank you. We can't have everybody up 100 times here, so you're only up to 99. So
I appreciate your comments, whatever, but the one thing that we should be doing as a community and as a board is communicate. I agree 100%. And Chris, you mentioned that you want to have informed decisions, and the only way you can become informed is to communicate. And me being on the Long Range Planning Committee, I just started this year. When we look at the first proposal to spend money on the North Golf Course, we asked the Golf Committee, could we have information on how did this proposal for 10 years get created? And we asked that, what about all these information about the water use and so on and so forth? So went through the whole process. We didn't get any answers, really. And so we finally threw up our hands and said, we make a motion that we have a group created, whatever, we would talk about the design before we go ahead and you request the funds. But now what you've done is you basically have shut out the LRP by saying they can only do projects for 5 years on, and when in fact you're asking the committees, like the golf committee, to produce a proposal, and they go ahead and get the bids on it, and you don't even, in years 1 through 4, and the Long Range Planning Committee isn't able to comment on that. And so the board could get information from the golf committee only. They can't get information from the LRP. What's wrong with that? I mean, there's a lot of things wrong with that. So I question that I think you've got the right intent, but you haven't given us assurance that everybody's going to, and I really like your idea, Chris, that you just said, that someone can make a motion and then it goes through the process. But I'm afraid that that's going to take a year, and this decisions have to be made quickly, because you mentioned at the Long Range Planning Committee, you said that we have to make this decision on the North Course because time is running out. We got to get it done right away. That's my concern.
Understood. Okay. Anyone else? Okay. Let me close here by this afternoon again at 1 o'clock here at Sundial. We'll have a special session of the board, and that will be focused on a second reading of the proposed bylaw revisions, and that's the only thing that we'll be concerned with there. The next meeting after that for the board of directors will be the normal November meeting on the 20th at 9 a.m. here. Following that, the next exchange will be December 8th at 9 a.m. here. And I guess we'll be working on the exact date of the annual meeting, because that's something that we'll work on a little bit this afternoon, actually. So there being no further business and without objection, this meeting is adjourned, and I thank you for your participation.
This is a copyrighted production of the Recreation Centers of Sun City Incorporated and is intended for the sole purpose of informing our Recreation Center members. Any duplication, copying, transmission, broadcast, or use, including electronic and social media, is strictly prohibited without the prior written consent from the Recreation Centers of Sun City Incorporated. Thank you for watching.